Hi, I'm Jeff Holden. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion is to highlight a nonprofit organization in each weekly episode, giving that organization an opportunity to tell their story in their words to better inform and educate the respective communities they serve, as well as provide one more tool for them to share their message to constituents and donors. Our goal is to help build stronger communities through shared voices and to both encourage and support the growth of local nonprofit organizations through podcasting. Thanks to our partners for their support in getting these stories told. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations, and Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. I'm proud to welcome our newest partner to the program, CORE, Interim and Fractional Executive Leadership, Comprehensive Back Office Support Services. We work in it so you can work on it. Visit cxore.com. This episode is about something unique taking place in a community that's fast becoming as progressive as the programs within. The Rancho Cordova Food Locker, soon to become the Rancho Cordova Community Food Hub, is rewriting the playbook on how we support families facing food insecurity. For more than 35 years, the organization operated quietly as a small church ministry, but in 2021, as the pandemic exposed deep cracks in the region's safety net, the city of Rancho Cordova stepped in and launched a full-scale effort to build a sustainable, modern, dignified model of service. Enter Carrie Johnson, the first executive director in the organization's history. In just 3 years, she has led a sweeping transformation from paper-only processes and an annual budget of $52,000 to a $1.4 million operation serving up to 600 families a day. But the heart of this story isn't the numbers. It's the shift in humanity. Carrie has championed a new paradigm, treating every guest as a neighbor, honoring dignity and choice, and building a place where families can shop for food just as they would at any other grocery store. Join me as Carrie shares the journey behind this innovative model, the powerful stories of the people they serve, and why a simple shift from lines and handouts to choice and respect might be the future of food access everywhere. Carrie Johnson, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I'm excited to be here.
And what incredible timing with so much that you've got going on. The Rancho Cordova Food Locker, soon to be the Rancho Cordova Community Food Hub,
Yes.
is a well-established organization. It's been around for 35 plus years. But the irony is they've never had an executive director until you came along.
That's correct. It started out as a church ministry, as many of the food pantries, food lockers, and food banks have done across the country. That's where the origin of distributing food and helping people that were hungry started. And over time, more and more organizations became nonprofits, or churches grew that. We're part of Catholic Charities, and they have a long history of supporting people that are hungry. But as the pandemic was rolling through, it became very clear to the city of Rancho Cordova that this organization really needed to be shored up and made sure it was a sustainable organization to support the community. So it went from being a church ministry to a 501c3 in 2021 with a small board of trustees and one part-time employee. At that time, the city recognized its importance, as I mentioned, and so they did a feasibility study on the sustainability of the organization. And one of the things that really came out was it had no executive leadership. So they recommended that an executive director was hired, and then plus a whole plethora of other things like facility improvements and fundraising and
Need to do's.
A long list of need to do's. There were 5 of those.
Wow. So you actually did have that when you
I was handed a report when I came in.
Wonderful.
5 key areas: financial strength, leadership, facilities improvements, becoming part. We were already part of SAC Food Bank's network, but we were not using their data system called Oasis to track, and I don't like the word track, to monitor the number of folks that we were serving. We were not using that system. It was all on paper. So
like spreadsheets? Oh, maybe not even
not
spreadsheets.
Even spreadsheets.
Oh,
I
my
would
goodness.
say I inherited 22 boxes of paper. of
Wow.
data. It was crazy. So, yes, there was a real clear path forward, which was very helpful. And so the first thing they did was hire an executive director, and that was me.
Well, congratulations. The
Thank you.
first ever in 35 years.
Yes.
So, Carrie, you had 5 items that you were handed when you walked in the door, which is nice because it does give you that transition opportunity, especially as a new executive director, to know that there's an expectation list that you can work from and start to build and develop. And how long did it take you to even start to assess and get to wherever you need to be?
Well, number one was done really easy. That was hiring of my position. So they checked that off the list for me. And then the 4 other areas I was able to complete in a record amount of time. In 1 year, I was able to get the facilities up to standard,
Wow.
get our financials more professionalized. We brought in a controller. We started fundraising significantly for the very first time that year. And we hired additional staff.
That's amazing.
You know what? It was kind of a have to. When I started, I didn't have any experience in the food insecurity space. I didn't know anything about food banking. I had a long history of working in nonprofits, so I understood nonprofit leadership. I also live in Rancho Cordova. My children went to St. John Vianney Church and to school there. So I knew the community very, very well. We've lived there for 40 years. So I felt very ingrained in the community. And I really wanted to see if we could make a difference with this. And I realized because of the growing numbers and the need that we had to fix the system for us quickly.
And that's a perfect segue to the next question. Every organization I've had on that services those with food insecurity have just exploded. You know, the numbers have, in some cases, 30, 40, 50, doubled year over year, and certainly since the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Which is where we saw the big uptick, but it didn't recede after the pandemic. It went higher. What's happening in Rancho Cordova?
When I started in 2022, we were serving 80 families a day, 3 times a week. Today, well, let's go back mid-October. We were serving 450 to 500 a day. Now that number's creeping up on 600 due to the SNAP crisis.
So in less than 3 years, from 80 to 500.
Correct.
It's a compounding geometric
It really is.
issue.
And I think there were a couple of things that came into play. One was awareness of the service by the community for the folks who needed us. So that caused a little bit of a spike, which is exactly our intention, right?
Yes.
To be available to the people that need us. So that caused some of our growth. But also at the same time, with the economy and the cost of food, pandemic benefits had gone away and people were really struggling. Really struggling. And so we saw it growing, especially with our veterans and senior population.
And we've heard the senior population one of the most impacted, both for food insecurity and housing at this point too, because they're just being priced out of everything.
They're on fixed incomes.
Right.
They're not getting an increase in their income, and they're seeing cost of living skyrocket.
Yeah, not to mention medical costs.
And medical costs, food costs. They may own their home. We have a lot of veteran families in the Rancho Cordova area coming from Mather. They've lived there 50, 60 years, but they've outlived their pensions now. And so that fixed income, they can't go anywhere else. They have to stay in their house.
Right.
But, property taxes are higher. Everything's higher for them. And so we're a resource for that. It's the only population that stays with us over time. And what I mean by that is they're coming to us continuously. Most people who visit our food locker come to us for a short period of time, anywhere from 3 to 6 months, while life is hard. They've lost a job. They've had, a car issue, and so income has been affected. So they come to us for that period of time, and then they move on. They don't stay long-term with us. We're there for folks that are struggling in that gap when things are hard.
And providing them a sense of dignity and understanding as they come as well, which we're going to get into in just a second, because you've got something so very, very cool coming up. But I do want to ask you a little bit, because this food insecurity issue is something that it's really an invisible crisis.
Oh my God.
Because you don't see it. They have a house, they have a car, they go back and forth to work, they have children in school, but that's all they can afford. And let's say rent goes up, or property taxes, as you mentioned, go up, gas prices go up. That's the tipping point. They have to give something up. And in many cases, it's food.
It typically is food. And I love that you asked that. I think for the public, and I was guilty of this. When I started there, I had a perception of who might come to a food locker or food
So
bank.
did I.
I absolutely did. And I spent the first 90 days just observing. I walked up and down the line. I got to meet the people there. Most of them wouldn't even make eye contact with me. They felt so much shame. But the people that came were not who I expected. I truly believe that the majority would be the unhoused, homeless. It's not the case. It's 2% of who we serve. Who I met in that line were people who recently lost a job, working poor families, lots of seniors, and lots of veterans. I saw moms with young kids who, for the first time, had to make a decision to come to us. And it was a hard decision. And it started to make me think about how we interacted with them. And that began the journey of our culture change at the food locker.
And a mindset.
Absolutely a mindset.
You know, you told me a story as we were talking prior about a woman who just drove up. Share that story, because I think that's so real
It's
today.
indicative of what's going on.
Yes.
Saturday, we had a food drive. We were not open to the public. We were receiving food from the community. We had this huge food drive sponsored by Atlas Disposal. Neighbors and people were coming in donating food. Businesses were coming in, and a couple of cars rolled in thinking we were open. Obviously, we're never going to turn anybody away. The first two that came in were veterans, seniors. We set them up with food. The third car was a suburban mom car. I don't know cars very well, but it's a mom car. And she had a 5-year-old in the car and a probably 12 to 13-month-old in a car seat. And she rolled down their window, and I thought she was donating from the look of the car. I assumed that. And she said, no, I need a little bit of food. And I go, can you wait till Monday? And she goes, and then she started to get choked up. And I said, hey, hang on. That's why we're here. We're going to get you some groceries. Our staff went in, loaded up a grocery cart. We brought them out to her. I saw that there was a young child in the car, and I said, do you also need diapers? We're a diaper depot. And then she really started to cry. She goes, are you kidding? And I said, no, we're able to provide a supply of diapers once a month to families, which is quite significant. So we got her settled in, and I said, look, we're here. You can come in every week and get food. That's what we're here for. Once a week, we can provide your family with food. She took a deep breath. She goes, thank you. She goes, I've never been in this position ever in my life. She goes, I have a full-time job. My husband just went from full-time to part-time 6 months ago. We haven't been able to get his hours back up. We lost our medical benefits because they were through his position. We just had to start paying out of pocket on our own. And something has to give, and it's food. And I can't let my kids go hungry. I mean, it was so telling that as a society, we don't see folks. And I think it's so important to see them, to hear them, to smile at them, and give them that sense of hope, right? Like, we're going to help you get through this. That's what a food locker or food pantry should be doing, giving people that bit of hope to know that they can come somewhere safe where they're going to be smiled at and greeted and cared for during this really difficult time in their life.
We're here for you.
We're here for you.
And we exist. We exist in every community.
Yep. It's throughout the entire county, throughout the entire state.
And that's part of the awareness we need to make people understand as well, that it's not about the sustained usage, it's crisis.
It is absolute crisis. It's not an
food
emergency.
Is crisis.
If it's an emergency, it's a one-time situation. We've been in this country well beyond emergency.
Yeah.
We have a crisis going on with food insecurity.
Let's move on to collaboration. The people that you work with, the other organizations that are a part of making the community food hub what it's going to be going forward.
Well, as the Food Locker currently is, we're a partner agency with Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services. We're part of that network throughout the county. There's 110 of us throughout the region that help supply food. So that's an important partnership for us. We also partner with our own city. They are a great partner, helping us with edible food recovery and other nonprofits we partner with for referrals in both directions. So we have the city's neighborhood services on our campus every week to help folks that are unhoused get resources. It's an amazing thing about Rancho Cordova. They really care about all their citizens, and they show up every day in that way. So they have a navigation team, and they meet us right on our campus to help people. We also have a pet food program with the city, because if you think about our seniors, we were starting to see that they were choosing to feed their pet,
The pet over there.
and they were having to make decisions about getting rid of a pet. And if you think about their health and their mental health, that pet's critically important.
Yes.
So we have this great pet food program that we partner with. We partner with VOA and Veterans Village to provide
Volunteers of America.
Volunteers of America
Yes.
to provide groceries to recently homeless veterans that are transitioning and to veteran families. So we deliver every week
Oh, wow.
to families at the Veterans Village.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, the collaborative relationship with all the organizations, and we hear it from, you know, the other food lockers, food resource centers, and there's an episode with Blake Young from Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services as well, if people want to understand what that distribution looks like, because it's a little bit different. You are the outlet point. They are the distribution point.
So the food bank is the, I guess, the warehouser of food.
Yes.
So, you know, they have this incredible facility where they can store a lot of food, and then they help distribute that food, the federally funded food and other food that they source out into the network. And it's incredible. We can't manage without that.
I'm really anxious to get to the next steps of this conversation, but I want to hold off just for a second as we talk about what you realized as you've gone through this in the course of the 3 years. First of all, you happen to be in a community right now that is really getting a lot of recognition for a lot of things that are happening, and this is going to be just another one of those wonderful things that we're seeing happen in Rancho Cordova. I mean, a downtown being built, a big entertainment facility, and just so many businesses and AI moving. Was it OpenAI or NVIDIA? NVIDIA coming with the chips. I mean, that's a big deal.
It is.
You know, and this is a community that's kind of just been lost over the years. It was
Not
just
anymore.
there. It was in between
It was.
a couple of different places, and it's wonderful to see. We'll be back with more from Carrie Johnson and the innovations taking place at the Rancho Cordova Community Food Hub right after we hear from those who make this program possible.
We are really excited to be part of the family and contribute to the work that you all are doing. CORE provides fractional and interim executive services along with comprehensive back office solutions that go into our client sites and do the work to give them the capacity they need in order to move through transitions, whether that's planned or unplanned. Or companies also work with our accounting and finance, back office solutions, human resources, technology, and administration. The reason why our back office solutions add value is because we save them time and money, anywhere from 20 to 30% of what they would spend on that back office solution. We work in it so they can actually work on it. CXORE.com and contact me directly at DTEAT@CXORE.com.
If you're interested in learning more about how CORE may help your organization, visit CXORE.com.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
I'm thrilled to have Western Health Advantage partnering with us as they do so much to support so many nonprofit agencies in our community. As a truly local health plan, you'll find individual and family options, employer options, plans for CalPERS and Medicare Advantage. From medical services to pharmacy, health and wellness support, as well as behavioral health care, Western Health Advantage has a plan that fits what you need. As an employer, for profit or nonprofit business, individual or family, you can find more at westernhealth.com. You are taking a very progressive approach with something. And over those 3 years, you saw an opportunity to do things a little bit differently. Share with us what you saw and what you've done about it.
Sure. As I mentioned, I didn't know a lot about food insecurity and how it impacted people. And so I did a lot of observing in those early months and that first year. And quite frankly, I was shocked about our system. It is the exact same thing that's been happening for 40 years. People that are hungry, just like in the Great Depression, they would line up at a soup kitchen or a food pantry or a church to get food. And it hasn't changed. And if you think about the impact of that experience on the person receiving food, and you look from their lens, you start to see that we cannot do this like this anymore. We're helping giving them some good calories and some nutritional food, but at the same time, we're not seeing them. We're not recognizing who they are as a human, and we're making life a little bit harder. And what I mean by that is most locations, most distribution sites, we don't let people choose what they get to eat, right? And for some people, they think, oh, that should be fine. They should just be grateful for what they get.
Yeah, give them whatever they got. There's some food,
I want to
right?
ask every mom out there, and they know this, try to feed something your children don't like or aren't familiar with. Are they going to eat it? Are they going to struggle with that? Sure. We've just made that mom's day a lot harder. And so I started to do some research. I quickly found only one book about food pantries and food lockers, and it really changed.
Saying that. Isn't that amazing that there's only one book?
Reinventing,
we'll hold that up for the
Reinventing Food Banks and Food Pantries. And this became kind of like a Bible for me. I read it 4 times. I bought a copy for all of our board, and I said, look, there is another way we can do this. And what that way looks like is giving people a sense of dignity, engaging with them when they're visiting the food locker, not asking them to stand in long lines, to give them choice, give them culturally appropriate food. Let that senior choose food that makes sense for her dietary restrictions. And the concept and the idea of creating a no-cost grocery store was born. And that will be the new community food hub. And so we got this idea early on. I started researching it. We went and visited. There's one example up in Seattle, Ballard Food Bank. Beautiful. They just opened 2 years ago. I started watching what they were doing. And there's a lot of people that are trying different models of this in a small way. And I don't mean small is not the right word. They're trying this model of a people's choice. My good friend and colleague, Amanda at River City, they have a people's choice model. It's still outdoors. The food is laid out on tables and people walk through and choose. That's a great start. I wanted to take this concept a little further. And I think because I'm in the city of Rancho Cordova, who is innovative and a great champion, we've been able to do that. We are currently under construction for the new community food hub. It'll be a first of its kind model of a grocery store that just looks just like where you and I go, right?
Yes.
Moms, seniors, our veterans can walk in with pride and choose their own food. One of the things that was really telling about this project, on the day we met with our contractor and all the subs on site, I asked for an opportunity to talk to them. I told the whole group, all the subs, about this vision and why it mattered so much. I really wanted our vendors and our subs to be engaged in this process. And I finished talking, and one of the gentlemen, who's a senior vice president of the largest tile company in the nation, pulled me aside and he grabbed my hand. He had tears in his eyes. He said, you know what? This would have made a difference for my mom.
Wow.
And it shows you this system is for a period of time in people's lives. And if we can shore them up and make life a little easier, they can raise kids who can be a senior vice president, right? So it's really a model born out of dignity and true love and care for people.
I don't think people really recognize either the number of family businesses in our community that have gone through some of our social services, whether it be Salvation Army, Volunteers of America, a food bank in some way, shape, or form. And when you start to realize it is just a part of reality, it happens. And if we're there for them, they continue and they succeed.
Exactly. It gives them that ability to thrive. It really is.
Yeah, and this is where you have some other collaborators, some people that have really stepped up in the process of helping you get this facility built. And I think it was worth recognizing those people, and I know you've got those names, so please do.
It was a big, bold idea. First, we needed a building and some land, and to do that, we needed some money. And right when I started, one of the things I did was I visited all of our elected officials, and I started having this conversation. I brought them this book, and I said, look, we've got to do this differently. I can see a path forward. Can you support that? Well, I was really fortunate. In the first year that I was with the Food Locker, former Assembly Member Ken Cooley said, write a paper about food insecurity. He wanted to understand it better, and I was able to secure a $2.5 million grant for capital improvements. So that was our seed money. That got it started. Of course, building a building costs a whole lot more than that.
Right.
We were able to purchase a dilapidated commercial property that has been an eyesore for the city for a long time. The city was super behind the project because they wanted this area improved. They loved our plans and they supported our process also. Making permitting was super smooth. We still needed a lot more money. And we had this, we own the property, we own the building, but we still needed to build it, right? $2.7 million to build this project. And I'm starting to talk to contractors, and I meet the Tankersleys, Heather and Steve. They own Tankersley Construction, and I sit down with them. I tell them the vision. I said, if you're willing to walk this path, I would love to work with you. I'm going to be up front with you right now. I don't have all the money, but we'll get there. And they said, we're in. We're all in. The second day, he had called, I don't know how many vendors to get us product donated. Everything from paint to lighting to flooring materials. I mean, he was all in. So we've been able to secure a lot, reduce our cost by all these different trades donating back to the project. So we've been able to piece it together. And then the city stepped up to help support us.
I know, because it just keeps going.
It just keeps going. The momentum just kept going. And so we now are fully in construction, and the new community food hub will open in April of next year.
It's so exciting. That is so exciting. And what a progressive move, again, for Rancho Cordova, to be the first one in the state to have this sort of a facility as a template. And I also know that you were the recipient of the Impact $100,000 grant. Congratulations for that.
That was incredible.
I think that paid for your walk-in freezer, if I'm not mistaken.
It did. It helped pay for that walk-in refrigeration unit, which was just recently craned over the building and put in place. So that was super exciting for us. And it's that kind of philanthropy that just makes such a difference.
The organization, when you started, do you recall what the budget you were working with was?
When I was hired, they had an annual budget of $52,000.
And today?
Today, we have an operating budget of $1.4 million.
That's incredible. Yeah. It really is an astounding number, not to mention you've had this capital project that's over $5 million and recognition, I'm sure, and support from a bank that's going to say, hey, we get it, we're there.
5 Star has stood up and helped us with this project from day one.
Yeah.
They kind of looked at me like I was crazy, but they figured it out. We figured it out.
And that refrigeration, I'm sure, requires electricity, and I know SMUD has been there as well. And
that's the thing. As we get going with this and people see this new concept, they've been really eager to support us. SMUD is we're going to use solar, and we're going to have charging stations that we can actually sell power back to SMUD. So that will reduce our operating costs and help us generate some income.
And operating costs is a great segue to the next question as well, because with federal funding changes, we don't even know the impact yet into 2026 of what this is all going to look like. State changes, your grants, everything has changed over the course of the last 6 months. And it's not going to, I want to choose the words properly here, there's not going to be more opportunity for money to flow into nonprofits in the years ahead.
Correct.
So it's incumbent on nonprofits to look at ways to fund themselves through a variety of different means.
Revenue streams, sure.
And I know we've talked about a couple.
So one of the things that, I've worked in nonprofits for 20 years, and having a sole reliance on fundraising dollars as your revenue stream is not necessarily sustainable. It's hard.
It's very hard, yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of wonderful nonprofits throughout our community. We don't need to be competing with each other. We've got to find a way where we can structure it differently. And so one of the things that this property and this new concept will do for us is give us an opportunity to generate some revenue. So one, the solar is a great example of that. But also we now have not only a grocery store, but a beautiful community room. We can rent that space out to other organizations and businesses to use to help generate revenue. We're looking at partnering with healthcare providers to bring them on site to meet the needs of the people that we serve. We have an audience that they care deeply about. This could be a one-stop shop. This facility gives us so much opportunity moving forward. There's opportunity to partner with municipalities on edible food recovery contracts. So we're looking at all kinds of revenue streams that might help us move forward.
And these are things we haven't typically thought about because we haven't needed to. Not that it's ever been easy, but the need has always been there.
Sure. And I think the need has been there, but the models have stayed the same.
Correct.
So we've got to change the model. We've got to change the approach. And I think a community food hub is a really innovative model, and I think it will. It could be something that we can replicate. That's part of my dream. Is we've been tracking what we're doing all along. How can I share that with my peers here regionally, but also across the state? Because I think it's something that could really work.
Well, I can see once you've got the template, because you've started from scratch, with just an example in Washington. You are building the first one here. So you know every step along the way. That template exists. And can it be replicated? Of course, the answer is yes. It's just a matter of how. There's a fee for service in that.
Yeah, and I've had a few people mention that to me, but I just got to get that thing built first. Then I'll think about that part.
We'll work with you.
Okay.
I've seen where it is today, and thank you very much. The tour was spectacular to see what it looks like. And you look and it looks like it's so close, but I know it's the details that really
we're close. April is close.
Drag everything out. Yes, it'll be here before we know it. That's for sure. I mean, we're already talking Christmas, so as we record this in November of 2025. How many people do you employ today?
Today we have 7 full-time staff and 1 part-time staff. When I started 3 years ago, I was the only full-time employee, and we had 2 part-time staff.
Well, see, with a budget of $52,000, you were a volunteer full-time employee too at that point in time. What's it look like when you get into the new building?
That's the part we're working on right now, because obviously our entire operational system changes dramatically, right? We're not trying to scramble every day to figure out what's the setup going to look like outdoors.
Yes.
Is it raining or is it 102 degrees? And we're going to be in this beautiful facility. So we're actually talking to a lot of grocers to get advice on how do you stock shelves and how do you move inventory and all those kind of things that we are new to.
Sure.
We're looking forward in our budget to hiring additional full-time staff. We'll obviously need an operational lead for the facility. We've got this great asset. We got to take really good care of it. So yes, there'll be an increase in the number of staff.
I also want you to address the types of people you have on staff, because
Thank
it's
you
not.
for asking that.
It's United
It's all
Nations.
part of our culture. It is. It's part of our culture.
Rancho Cordova is a really diverse community.
It is an extremely diverse community,
and you have to represent
in
that
the best of ways. And so that idea of giving people dignity and welcoming them, right? I only speak English. I had folks coming that speak Farsi and Dari and Spanish and Ukrainian and Russian. And that is intimidating to come to a place where no one spoke your language or no one could communicate with you. We didn't have materials in their languages. So it became very clear really early on. I couldn't hire staff initially, so we recruited volunteers that spoke those languages. And that was one of the best things we did. It changed everything for the people we serve. Out of that, one of the things that was really interesting, and I didn't, this was new to me. I didn't know what the rules were.
Probably better.
It was better. Ask for free,
yes, forgive us after this.
So one of the people that came in our line, we called them guests. We stopped calling them clients. I don't believe that they're clients. They're our friends and neighbors. So that we changed our language of how we refer to the people that we were supporting. And one of our friends and neighbors came up to me one day and she said, I've been coming for 3 months. I don't need to come anymore, but I would like to volunteer and give back. She was a Ukrainian woman. I said, absolutely. And what happened that day was I realized they want to help. They don't want to just a handout. And so we quickly had a lot of our guests becoming volunteers also.
Oh,
and it was
how great
just
is that?
Beautiful community building. And then over time, as they didn't need our service, they continued to volunteer because they were so grateful. And we have 150 regular volunteers. Many of them started as our guests who are no longer our guests. They've gotten their lives, things have gotten better for them, and so they don't need our service, but they come every day because they're grateful. And they speak all kinds of languages. So on any given day, we can have 6 to 8 different languages being spoken. The woman I spoke of was so amazing. She became a part-time staff. She's now a full-time staff. So we have staff that speak Russian, Armenian, Ukrainian, Spanish, and those 4 languages. And so it was purposeful.
Amazing.
Our driver that we have, Arthur, he's amazing. I saw him in line. He's extremely tall. And I always walk up and down and say hi to people and see how you're doing. He looked really intimidated to come to the food locker, and I just asked him how he was doing. He said, I'm okay, but I've been out of work. I'm a truck driver for 6 months. And saw him the next week, said hello to him. I needed a truck driver. I pulled him aside, and I said, do you have a resume? He goes, no, but I have my driver's record and I have a reference letter from, he was 16 years in this trucking company.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay. So we sat down, we had an interview. I hired him part-time, and now he's our full-time lead driver.
Isn't that a beautiful story?
It is such a beautiful story.
Those are the stories you want to hear, because these are the people that can relate to the community and the people in the community,
Oh
the
my
people
gosh.
who are experiencing food insecurity for whatever period of time, and say, hey, look, it gets better.
It does. And the thing about our staff is that they were hired for a skill set, but they're also hired because of their deep care for the people we serve. And it shows every day the way they show up. And we have what we call grandma's program. So we know there's a lot of seniors that can't get to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd love to grow it, and eventually we will. But right now we deliver to about a dozen seniors in their homes that are in our community of Rancho Cordova. And some days Arthur does that delivery, and he says it's the best part of his day. And they all take pictures with him because he's so tall and he's so sweet to them. So I think one of the things that a food hub can do, or a food pantry or food locker, is we can build community. And we can show people that are having a hard time that there are people around them that care deeply. And so I think we've been able to do that with this culture change and the way we interact with everyone. It's a really beautiful thing to see. We do a huddle every morning before we start our day with our volunteers. And usually on a typical day, we have about 40 volunteers there. And in the huddle, we get an opportunity to talk to them about who you might see and how you can show up for them. And we do that every single day that we're open to the public, because what it's done is it's helped our volunteers take away judgment and be a better community partner, be a better neighbor to the people we serve. And that was a huge shift for a lot of our original volunteers. They didn't quite understand it because their mind was like, how much food can we get out? Let's just get the foods out the door, right? Well, it's more than just getting the food out the door. It's making sure that that person knows that they're cared about. And that's really our whole premise.
And I think hope exudes from that consideration. It's not just here, take it, go, next.
Get to your car.
Yeah. We care about you, and we really don't want to see you here again. We want you to grow and move on. And the fact that people come back tells you you are absolutely on the right track, because they're coming back to volunteer. And not only volunteer, but be employed. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. I keep saying and joking with this team, I said we have a little workforce development thing going on.
Yes,
because,
you do.
and not formal, it's just very organic.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of volunteers who have been out of the workforce for a long time and come back and volunteer. They get they feel good about themselves again. They start to interact with people. They improve their language skills. They're applying to Grocery Outlet and to Safeway, and we're writing letters of recommendation because they've been in the food business with us for 6 months, and then they go on to get a job.
And just imagine once the facility is built, it is a grocery store.
We're going to do a training. I don't even know what that looks like, but yes, we can do that too.
And where they can grow from there. Just so many opportunities just as a part of the process. And you'll never have want, I don't think, for people who want to get involved.
No.
Especially if they see the track record of others that have passed through it. Yeah. So you are a workforce development entity as well as
there may be a funding source there. Let's think about that.
We'll have that conversation on a follow-up, that's for sure, because I think you're absolutely right. Or an apprentice program for grocery stores. You start to think of what this could be to acclimate some of the people who maybe their language skills aren't quite where they need to be, et cetera, et cetera. So many things that can come from this.
One of the things that stood out from day one is that no one that comes in our line wanted to be there. It was a have to.
Yes.
And that became very evident to me right away. They didn't choose. They didn't decide not to go to the grocery store and come here to get free food. They had to.
Right.
It wasn't a choice. And so if we can make that experience different, it's so important. And everybody says, I'm looking for a job. Do you know of a job? I get asked that 10 times a day, probably more than that. But people want to work. They don't want to not work. Or people that are working just need to know they can go to a place where they can keep their chin up and feel dignity when they do that, and not be judged because maybe their paycheck doesn't help them get to the end of the month.
Right.
I had a good friend that used a term, and I love it. They have more month than money.
Yes.
And it's true.
Yep.
Right? We see spikes toward the end of the month when things start to run out. So we have to be here as a resource. but we need to show up differently. That's the new paradigm. Do it differently.
And again, back to dignity and hope. That's the most we can offer. That's far greater value than anything, because that moves them forward in every step of the way.
Yeah.
99% of the organizations that come through this next question, it truly is a dream, not a dream already begun and somewhat recognized. And it's if somebody came to you with a blank check and said, Carrie,
Oh my gosh.
right?
The dream. You're right. That is the dream.
What would you do with it? And I would say part of your dream is already being fulfilled. It's get this
Thing built,
food
and
hub
it's happening.
built.
I do have a construction loan. So yes, I would love to pay that loan off, right? So that's one.
Yep.
2, I need shelving and racks for my warehouse. I need shelving for the grocery store. I need one of those refrigerated units with a mister, so it looks just like a grocery store for produce. We're going to put an orchard out front on part of our property so we can connect people to food. I need an orchard installed. It wasn't part of our plan, but we're going to do that too, if I have that check.
Yes.
So yeah, those would be the top things.
And your parcel is a pretty good sized parcel from what it looked like.
3/4 of an acre.
Uh-huh.
So when we bought the property and the build, there were 2 separate parcels. We bought a 3/4 acre piece of property and then the commercial building next to it, because we knew we would need a portion of that property for parking. So we still have about a half acre
to play with that you could do growing and gardening and all sorts of.
Not gardening. My good friend Shauna was Soil-Born Farms.
Oh yes,
He's a farmer, and
we've had Sean sitting in this chair.
Yes, and I look forward to doing some partnerships with him to grow produce for us. So I don't need to be in his business. That's what he does really, really well. But I think it's important that people understand where food comes from, and it's just it'd be a simple opportunity, just to have an orchard for year-round.
Well, and again, I
produce.
can see the collaborative. You have the schools come through. The kids can see what this is all about. They also get to be. They get a demonstration of service. To see how this grocery store works and who it works for.
Yeah.
And I'm sure kids know. Kids talk and they know when there's issues. And again, back to the dignity of it all. I saw your mom at the grocery store, just like we might see
a friend at the grocery store.
A friend at the grocery store.
So interesting that you said that. I had a mom when we were looking at changing our name. We're the Rancho Cordova Food Locker, soon to be the Community Food Hub.
Community Food Hub.
And as we were going through that change and thinking about what that name would look like, I spent a lot of time talking to our friends and neighbors, our guests. And I had one mom say to me, I don't tell anybody I come here. But if I was going to the Community Food Hub, I could say that. So really trying to take as much stigma away for people. And I think this new model and our new name, it's very welcoming and all-encompassing. So I think people will feel really good about coming there.
Now, you did share in the vision some of the things that would be needs, because they're specific to the building. But as the operation, what is the greatest need?
Access to nutritious food, right? So large portion of our food comes from Sac Food Bank, which we're extremely grateful for. We also now with edible food recovery from our grocery stores. So our driver goes to every single store in our area, picking up food that otherwise would have gone to waste. It's perfectly good food, but we also need the ability to purchase more fresh produce. That's the biggest demand, is fresh produce.
Okay. And that's, again, another misnomer. People think, well, what you're serving at the food banks is just either expired or, dated canned goods.
Never.
And it is anything but.
Correct.
It is anything but.
If you think about dignity, handing someone a dented can of food is not dignity. So no, the food is not in that state.
Yes.
So what we do provide people is good, healthy, nutritious food. And that's really important.
Now, I will say, as a college student, I worked at a grocery store all the way through high school, all the way through college. And on the weekends, I would come back and work.
You stock the shelves for us at the new place.
I did that. I did stocking the shelves and everything. We did the night crew. It was a blast. The dented cans and cut boxes were great for us.
Yes, sure,
So and they knew that, hey, wait, Jeff's coming in this weekend. What does he
Save?
need? Oh, no, not save. We'll dent a can or two. We knew so many people in the store. It was like, hey, what do you need? What do you need this weekend? Oh, yeah, that cereal box got cut. Do you like Frosted Flakes or Raisin Bran? Whatever it was. So
that's so kind.
It was an experience, but nonetheless, very different from what we're talking about here. You know,
Well, and you just shed a light. I mean, we're talking about college students.
yeah,
And that's one of the largest populations that are facing food insecurity today.
we know Sac State has its own food locker.
Yes, they do.
You know, which is and it's again same situation.
Mhm.
You know, the growth and the demand on that locker has been incredible over the course of the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Let's get a little personal.
Okay.
You've got the weight of feeding a community on your shoulders.
Oh, it's not just mine.
This is true. Not to mention the demand of a new building, a construction project, which is also burdensome.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to relax? How do you chill?
Well, first, I have a great team that helps support that, as you described, burden. I don't see it as a burden. I see it as probably the greatest work of my life.
Yeah.
But to chill, I have 8 grandchildren that bring me incredible joy.
I see you say that in the prior conversation. 8 grandchildren.
7 and under.
Oh, my goodness.
4 girls, 4 boys. I have 3 adult sons and an amazing daughter-in-law. So that, if I need a little shift in my mindset, all I have to do is FaceTime with one of them. And, you know, I just can't stop smiling from ear to ear because it's a lot of fun. And then I also spend a lot of time in my garden. I garden and I have vegetables and flowers. And that just brings me amazing amount of joy.
That's great. That is great. Now, in the rainy season, I'm sure it's more.
I was actually out
grandkids?
last night. You
Were
can
you
ask
really?
my husband. I have a lot of flowers, and I didn't want them to get pummeled today. So in the dark, I had a headlight on my head that my husband had got me for a camp trip. And I went out there with my cutters, and I literally was cutting flowers just so that they wouldn't get ruined today with the rain.
Which I appreciate, because this is a woman who's probably gotten up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to make sure everything's squared away at the construction site, and
Well,
so much going on.
We have a team over there that does that. We have a great site supervisor, but our team does start at 5 a.m. to get going for the day.
I figured.
Yeah.
How many days are you open?
We're open to the public for distribution 3 days a week, but we work 5.
Sure.
So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're distributing food. Tuesday, Thursday, we're prepping for the distributions.
What's the expectation with the new facility?
I think that's one of the best opportunities. Is right now we're constrained by the church campuses that we're on.
Yes.
So we're technically open 9 hours a week for distribution.
Oof.
And if you think about 9 hours that we serve 1,500 families in 9 hours, it's intense. It is challenging for the staff, and they show up for it every day. But it's intense.
I can imagine.
Can you imagine?
Yep.
So now we'll be able to take that and spread that out. We can set our own hours. We're going to be much more like a grocery store. We will have one evening a week where we'll be open for people that are working poor, can access to come to the store. We'll be open on a Saturday. So we'll have much longer hours. So people don't have to feel that panic of showing up in these long lines.
Yeah, and if I don't
That's
get there,
the
I don't
hope.
get food.
Well, to this day, we haven't had to turn anybody away. So that
Wonderful.
is the hope. We've got great partners, and we haven't had that happen even in the SNAP crisis.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
What's the best way to learn more about the Rancho Cordova Community Food Hub?
Well, reach
Soon to be
couple
Community
things.
Food Hub?
Come on a distribution day and volunteer so you can see what it looks like now. But reach out to me. I would love to take anyone that wants to see the project on a tour. We have to do it after 3:30 when the construction site shuts down now because of insurance reasons, but they can come and visit it because I think seeing it firsthand, the project, it'll get you really excited.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a very cool looking building.
It
And I think
is.
for the community and its location, I mean, it's the bright spot.
It is
And to
in
think
that neighborhood.
this is what people maybe used to perceive as, oh boy, we don't want a food locker in our neighborhood. This is like, bring this thing on because it's a wonderful looking facility.
It is. It's really beautiful. We're on light rail also, which provides better access for the people we serve. So, and that was part of our decision-making matrix when we were looking for a location.
Sure.
So it is. And we designed it. I didn't design it. We had amazing partnerships with LPAS Architects and Grayscale Architects. And Western Contract, our board chair, is their vice president, and she has done all the interior, and her team, the interior design. It's a beautiful store. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful facility.
In terms of connecting, where should they go?
Website,
Is
RanchoCordovaFoodLocker.org.
okay, and we're going to have that in the show notes, as well as the book that you mentioned a little bit earlier about running a
It's
food bank,
Great book.
which everybody should anybody of interest, anybody that's interested should see it, should be aware of it. Any parting thoughts?
Yes. We've seen the last 5 weeks be incredibly difficult
And for the benefit of those maybe listening
in the future.
at some future point, we're talking about the SNAP situation.
Yes, with the government shutdown and the loss of SNAP benefits and furloughed federal employees and military families, we saw a huge increase in the number of people needing our service and in unprecedented numbers. And what I would love to say is that the communities, this region, stepped up in a way that I've never seen before with volunteering, donations, food support, really caring for those folks. And I think for the people that were struggling, that meant as much as getting food from us. So I think as a society, we did a really good job. It should never have happened, but we were able to help people during that period of time.
If that isn't refreshing to hear, not that it happened, but the fact that people actually stepped up. Because I don't think if you're not in that space, you don't recognize the severity of it. And I know we talked prior, and I applaud you and thank you because we're not out of it yet. It's a couple of days away yet where everything's going to ease up a little bit, but
it is.
You took the time to come here because we wanted to get this episode in front of the holiday, the Thanksgiving holiday, for all the reasons. It's a high awareness, and we want people to know what you're doing, and we want to get way in front of that April date because there's stuff you need.
Yep.
And that's important.
I think the other part is I'm part of a network. So we're in Rancho Cordova. We have Elk Grove Food Bank, and we have River City Food Bank in Sacramento, and we have South SSIP out in South Sac. I think people don't realize there's this regional network that's doing this work. So if there's one in your area, go support them. Help them. That's what they need.
And we know that this situation, in most cases, is temporary, but in most cases, it's your neighbor. It's somebody you know. And what better way to say I care about my community than to step up and support somebody who doesn't think you do and isn't sure that you do.
It makes a big difference.
And when they see it, it's like, my goodness, people really do. And it helps them. Again, hope is everything.
It is. Sure.
Carrie, your passion for the project, the community, the people. I had no idea 40 years in Rancho Cordova. That's amazing. But to see people fed with dignity and compassion it's not only palpable, I can feel it from you as you talk and speak here, but it's contagious. And I think when people understand how neat this project is and what it has the potential to do, they're just going to embrace it. And you are going to see those opportunities to see it expand throughout the state and into the country for its novelty and for its success.
And for its necessity.
And its necessity, sadly.
I mean, it's really the necessity of it,
yes.
right? We can show up better for people, and this is a great model to do that.
And I think as a result of that, you're going to see the support you need to continue to grow it. And we will see the support we need in our communities as a result of that success as well, for the benefit of those who are food insecure. Thank you so much for showing up today.
Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate this time.
Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If what you heard moved you, please reach out to that organization and do what you can to help. If you like and appreciate what we're doing to support local nonprofits, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share. If you're a nonprofit with an interest in participating in an episode, you can reach me at jeff@hearmenowstudio.com. Once again, we're grateful for the businesses who have made this program possible. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. You can find them in Sacramento, Roseville, and Folsom, captrust.com. And Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families, westernhealth.com.